I'm talking with you now. That means I can't talk with my wife now. But AI can do that. A computer has so much computing power that a machine can talk to many people at the same time. So what it will allow us will be to send individually tailored, personalized messages to individuals.
Peter Metzinger speaking, co-founder of evAI Intelligence and owner and managing director of Business Campaigning. In today's episode, Peter and I talked about some really interesting things. Peter's just this fantastic guru of marketing and how marketing really is for the people, of the people, by the people. And he has an interesting twist to the way he does marketing because he's really, for his entire life, been a pioneer in using digital tools. And he's now in this artificial intelligence AI bandwagon. He's got this separate company working on artificial intelligence, and he really knows what the future of marketing is going to look like. Instead of telling you about how great he is and all the stuff we talk about, which you can listen to yourself, I wanted to share this fun fact about Peter that didn't come out in the interview, but just was so cool. I wanted to share it with you. So I mentioned Peter, he's sort of always been a pioneer in digital tools. Way back in 1987. So you have to imagine this is 7 years before the launch of the World Wide Web. The police were tapping into the phone lines of an anti-nuclear network that Peter had founded. So what did Peter do? He set up a computer network across many different cities, and he actually wrote an encryption software to be able to continue coordinating campaign activities without the police being able to find out what they were up to. So what I love about Peter is he says that Business Campaigning is a company, a strategic consultancy. They specialize in impossible missions. And I like to call Peter Mr. Mission Impossible himself because he seems to be able to make everything happen. So enjoy this episode learning from Peter Metzinger.
Welcome back to another episode of Level Up Your Leadership, the podcast exploring how 21st century leaders acquire the skills they need to thrive in the ever-changing digital workplace. I'm your host, Lisa Kristen, and I'm here today with Peter Metzinger, co-founder of evAI Intelligence and owner and managing director of Business Campaigning. Welcome, Peter.
Hello, Lisa, and hello, whoever is listening.
So Peter and I are having a bit of a funny moment here. I have to admit this to all of you listening. We recorded this entire podcast, except we didn't record it. So we are currently on take 2 of this podcast, and we're going to see, does this lead to the same place we went to last time, or did more questions open up? Let's see. But Peter, I do have the same first question to start with, which is that you say that Business Campaigning is a strategic consultancy that specializes in impossible missions. What does that mean? What is an impossible mission?
It's actually something that others say about us and that I love to repeat because it explains very well what we're doing. We're finding solutions where others don't find, and it has to do with the approach that we are taking. I studied physics. I have a master in science and physics. And what I learned there was to ask critical questions to really understand the system. So very often when people don't sell something, what they do is they spend more money in advertising. But maybe that's the completely wrong thing. For example, the World Economic Forum 2002, they gave me a call because they had an issue with their brand, with their image. People were on the streets protesting, and they didn't get the message through that their mission was to improve the state of the world. They tried it with PR, they tried it with advertising, and they didn't see any change in public perception. They heard about this specialist for impossible missions, and they called me, and then we applied the business campaigning model. That's something that I created in 1998, and it's a mixture of processes and checklists that you fill in a certain order and that guides you through the process to ask the right questions at the right time. And the outcome of the analysis and strategic thoughts was the Open Forum, which is, since 2003, a platform where NGOs, public, and the inner circle of the leaders of the World Economic Forum, the closed society, come together and discuss and have a dialogue. And that opened up the whole discussion and helped them to reclaim their image or to get their message through.
And what was so different about the way that you engaged people? What's so different about the business campaigning process?
I learned in the 1980s already that a target audience is not somebody you send information to. They are people who help you. So if you try to sell a product, is you send them information and you think if you send them that information, it will convince them. If you see these people as people who are helping you to achieve your sales goals, you have a totally different approach. Because if you want somebody to help you, you have to understand the person really well. You need to know how to approach that person, which language, which tonality, at what point of time, through which channel, with which message. And it's a totally different approach. It leads to us having workshops with the target group, where the target group develops the strategy, the campaign strategy for themselves. We've used that in internal campaigns named change management projects, and marketing campaigns or PR campaigns, branding. The idea behind it is the experts are the target audience themselves. They know how they receive information, how they process information, and what triggers them to which action.
And it's so interesting what you're describing, because you're not saying, and you're a consultant, you're not saying, I'm the expert, I come in, I give the information. You're not saying, I go to senior management, I work on a senior management strategy, and we roll it out top down. What you're saying is we go to the people. We go to the people who are affected by it, and we work with them because they're the people who know the answers. That's wild.
I love to say we're experts in being non-experts, and we're professionals by being non-professional. Because if you're professional, it's about a certain profession. So if you studied marketing or advertising, you will be a professional in that area. So, but as the example that I gave, if you don't sell something because it's not the wrong message or not the wrong channel, it's the organization behind it. You might even get a lot of clients out there, but the internal processes don't allow to sell more. As a professional, you don't find the solution. You have to be open to a broad variety of tools, and they're not only communication tools, they're also management tools. Once I even had somebody who called me because her sales figures were going down, and she wanted an advertising campaign to turn that around. At the end of the discussion I had with her after about an hour, I recommended trauma therapy, because I knew what trauma therapy is good for. And it turned out it was a small company, 4 employees, a headhunter. So it's a people business. Trust is very important. She had a car accident with a whiplash trauma as a consequence. And 2 weeks later, the problems in the company started and the sales figures went down. And I thought there could be a connection. So I recommended to her to first have a look at her trauma. And once that problem is solved, then maybe run an advertising campaign, or maybe not. In the end, it was necessary. She had 3 trauma therapy sessions and the figures went back up again.
Amazing. And this goes to a really important point, which is, campaigning, marketing, professionalism, jobs in general. There's such a human element to it. And we have to look at the whole person, whether we're the ones selling or whether we're the ones receiving. There's a very human element to it.
Yeah, authenticity, the human element, these are all things that are very important if you want to find the right solution. You need to understand who that person is, and you only find it out through dialogue. That's also a difference between us and many, I would say, communication companies from the last century. I like to say it like that, because they were all about sending instead of being in a dialogue.
Yeah. And I love that this is the future of communication. You're actually very actively involved in the future of communication because you are the co-founder of an artificial intelligence company, and you've really taken campaigning and marketing to that next level by including artificial intelligence. What does marketing or communications, what does that look like in the future?
I would say there are 2 important aspects. One is we will much better understand the audience we're talking with, not to. I know it's grammatically not really correct, but with includes the dialogue instead of talking to, sending information.
Exactly. It's 2-directional. I just want to say that you're talking at someone. That's one to the other. And you're talking with someone. It's both.
I'm talking with you now. That means I can't talk with my wife now. But AI can do that. A computer has so much computing power that a machine can talk to many people at the same time. So what it will allow us will be to send individually tailored, personalized messages to individuals. Not only the message might be different, but maybe also the point of time, because I know that one person is easier to reach at, let's say, 1 o'clock and the other person at 2:15. Something we've been using already 2 years ago. That's about when we started using AI in campaigns. In social media, we got this analysis done by the neural network telling us which Twitter influencer was best to be in dialogue with at what time, because it was the time when his followers were active. Of course, you can also do that by yourself, do that kind of analysis, but the huge amount of Twitter profiles out there to analyze would have gone beyond our capacity. And AI, and that's the other aspect, AI will allow us to do things that we are simply not capable to do today because of a lack of manpower, lack of man and computing power.
And I have to say, there's a little bit about this AI stuff that scares me. And I know I do a lot of work with AI, but I also am a little bit concerned when I talk about marketing and communications in AI, because I'm nervous that they're going to know the best of human psychology and they're going to know exactly how to persuade me into buying something that I do not need. And I have a lot of stuff in my closet that I do not need. So do you see that that's going to be happening with AI?
That is already happening today. It requires only 500 to 600 words that you publish somewhere, and a neural network can produce a very precise psychological profile of you, telling me exactly how to sell you what and how to influence you, what are the keywords to avoid and the key messages to deliver. That's already happening today. We're actually using this in PR. Like before I contact a journalist that I don't know, I find out what kind of person that is, so I know exactly how to talk to that person. And the same in sales. But the other thing you mentioned, that you will be convinced to buy things that you don't want to buy. That's the mission of advertising ever. It's always been the mission. It might become more sophisticated, but it can also be used for something else. And that is to protect you from messages that you don't want, that are irrelevant for you. If an AI understands your personality and knows what you want and what you don't want, that AI can actually also block messages from you. So it depends very much on how we use it. A knife can be used to cut bread and to kill somebody. So ethics is a very important topic. At every AI conference that I'm at, ethics is a central topic. And I read just before on LinkedIn that European Union has today published some ethical standards. It's something that everybody who works seriously in AI will welcome, because if we get it right with the ethics, AI will have a future, and we'll have a better future with AI. If we get it wrong, we'll not be able to use its potential and we'll screw it all up.
Yeah, or worse. I can really see I hear about some game over scenarios as I also attend some of these AI conferences. But this really brings us back to the human element and why sort of bringing your humanity forward is so important in this age of digitalization. Can you tell us more about the business campaigning model? I mean, you don't have to go through the whole thing, but what are the elements that are included in there?
Well, I'm a physicist, and when I worked for Greenpeace the last 3 years, I was campaigns director of Greenpeace Switzerland, and I had to I wanted to reorganize my department. And I realized that it doesn't matter if I want to stop a nuclear power plant's operating license or change the culture of my department. I used the same strategies and the same approach. And I realized it's all about changing people's knowledge, attitudes, or behavior, or maybe all together. And when physicists discover something like this, they love to develop theories to make predictions. If I do A, then the outcome is B. So I had this idea of creating a model. That's what I did in 1998. I created a model that helps them to train and educate campaigners or change makers, whatever you want to call them, and that at the same time helps you to plan, execute, and evaluate campaigns or change processes, whatever you want to call it. In the end, it's doing something that brings a change, and independently from the topic and the goal that it's about. And it describes, it's like a cookbook, it tells you if you put something, you use salt and these vegetables, and you treat them like that, and the outcome is a dish. And it's the right dish for the right person. We love on our website, we have a mixer and vegetables because that's what we do. We do, what do you call them?
Like a smoothie of some sort, no?
Yeah, smoothies. The right smoothie for the right person in the end.
Yeah, exactly. So how do we get our hands on a copy of this, or how do we know? Because it sounds like it's just a very easy plug and play and something that a lot of us would be interested in, how to run change management or how to run better, campaigns, business campaigns, marketing campaigns.
Well, for the German speakers, it's all published in my book, Business Campaigning, published by Springer, Heidelberg. But it's not in this order. It explains the model, but it's not something that, not like a cookbook. I'm currently working on something like a cookbook. Working title is How to Do Business Campaigning. I have all these checklists already ready, so somebody could order that now already, but I'm working on a book with explanations with which somebody can work without me being present, without explaining something. So really like a cookbook. And hopefully it will be available in a few weeks. Maybe by the time you publish this podcast, I don't know when, it's going to be available already. But you'll find out if you go to businesscampaigning.com, you'll see it there.
Perfect. So I'll put a link